to you from round 10 of the SRL League F1 2017 Championship on the PS4 platform. And while there are many SRL leagues, there is only one Sandro Racing League. So here we are at round 10. This is going to be Bahrain. Drivers are starting to sign in. We'll take a quick run down the list. You see Sandro Dulis in the Scuderia Ferrari, Cameron Weston Edwards in the Sauber, Joey FY 200, not 100% who that is, but he's going to be in the Sahara Force India, Francis McGinn in the McLaren. After him is going to be Nick Van Gelder in the Renault. Praga X30 is a newcomer, Lewis Marshall. This will be his race debut. VY Gaming, that is Yannick Verpetten in the Haas. He has had a couple of rough past couple races here. He's got 2 DNFs in a row, unfortunately. Last week at Spa, and the week before, he was taken out at Hungary by Sandro. Dion Stahl in the factory Ferrari, Fasconi, and to correct that, I've been told it is Fascone, and that is Andrew Heff in the Williams, as we get ready for qualifying here. So we're going to do a short 12-minute qualifying session. We'll be off to a 50% race length race after that for round 10. Bahrain has certainly been interesting past few seasons. So back in season 1, Sandro Dulis had won the race in a dominating fashion. Pretty much nobody could challenge him that time. Season 2, Francis McGinn had a battle with former Mercedes driver Pedro Mesquita. McGinn was able to take the win by just 1/10 of a second over Pedro. Nick Van Gelder at the time was on his way to join the battle for the lead, but halfway through, he had suffered an internet connection problem and was unable to rejoin. So hopefully, Nick doesn't have those types of issues today. Let's get ready to take part here, qualifying for round 10. So, continue down here. We talked about Fascone, that is Andrew Heff. Gamer Freak, not 100% sure who that is. Widowmaker, that's going to be Jan Holm. He's had a rough go this year. Through 9 races, Jan Holm has 6 DNFs. And to be honest with you, I'm not even sure that Jan Holm has even partaken in all 9 rounds. So that percentage could be even a little bit higher. Let's see here. So we've got a total of 17 drivers today. That is a new SRL League record. We set a previous record a few weeks back with 15 drivers. I believe last week at Spa we had 16 drivers. This week we're up to 17. So we take a look at Francis McGinn on his outlap. So McGinn was having a pretty decent race last week, but crashed in the first few opening laps at Spa. He currently sits 3rd in the championship point standings. His teammate Killian Brady now has a 70-point lead in the championship point standings over, he's got a 70-point lead over Bart Capelda, who did not participate last week, and unfortunately it does not look like Bart will be participating this week as well, which leaves it to Francis McGinn to close the gap down to Bart to possibly put McLaren 1-2 atop the championship point standings. Nobody's been able to touch Brady so far this year except for Bart. Brady won last week in just an unbelievably dominating fashion at Spa. It was wet. He picked up his 3rd pole of the year, Brady did. Went on to win his 6th race of the year and lapped everybody in the field except for 2nd place, who was Cameron Weston Edwards. So, nobody had anything for Brady last week. And we see Lewis Marshall has already left the session. Not sure if he has some internet problems or not. So we'll take a look at McGinn here on his out lap. Looks like he's going to be starting his fast lap this time round. So McGinn's been a really solid runner this year. McLaren has a couple of 1-2 finishes this year. He nearly won round 5 in Australia before being passed at the last lap at the last corner by Barcadelda. So, but he's had a really solid year so far. He wants to close that gap down to Bart, take over second place in that championship point standing. We see him run through the S's here. Bahrain with an immense amount of runoff area. So a mistake here won't cost you as dearly as it does at Spa. You see one of the Haas's there running through. Number 95, not 100% sure who that was. Possibly Yannick on his outlap. Through another series of S's. McGinn's going to come down, set hopefully the first fast lap of the day. And it looks like Lewis Marshall has rejoined the session, so maybe he's having some internet issues. And says Beastie Kids is left to believe he was a spectator. So Francis McGinn sets the first fastest lap at a 1:28.848. We'll see what other kind of times these guys can set. See Benerichetti in the Red Bull Renault out on track. Benerichetti was running third last week when he had wrecked his car with only a few laps to go left in the race. Turns out Benerichetti wrecked last week in the same exact spot that he had wrecked the year before at Spa. So Spa-Francorchamps is not one of Benerichetti's better tracks, unfortunately. See a lot of other guys now starting to set times. Sandro 1:29.8, Van Gelder 1:30. Gamer Freak 1:29. So we're running between 1:28s and 1:31s. Francis McGinn still has the fastest lap. Jesper, who started on the front row last week, has shown he's got some speed. He's currently second. He had a pole back at Monza as we continue to watch Benerichetti here. So far, Killian Brady, your championship points leader, has the third fastest time of the day. Oh, big lock up there by Benerichetti. See a couple of the other cars out on track, Toro Rosso and Ferrari. A little puff of smoke out of the right front as he heads into that corner. So Lewis Marshall's got his internet connection back. He's currently on his out lap. We're watching Benerichetti. He's going to set his first fastest lap of the day. No sign of Colin Higgins yet. He's yet to set a time as well. Oh, and you see the Toro Rosso off there. That is possibly Colin Higgins. And Benerichetti up to second. 2/10 off the fastest time. Take a look here at Higgins as he pulls into the pits. So Higgins has not set a time, and they are going to put him back in the garage. 6 minutes to play in this qualifying session. Take a look at Van Gelder. Van Gelder certainly was entertaining to watch last week at Spa. It was wet out, and he was putting on quite the show. Power sliding and drifting the Formula One car around the track. Not sure how effective it was. He did battle his way up to fourth. So that was his return race debut. It was his first race of the season. He had raced in seasons past. So good to see him back with the factory Renault team. Here we take a look at Fascone. That is Andrew Heff in the Williams. Solid mid-pack finisher. He heads through the S's. Not exactly setting the world on fire this year, but pretty solid runner. Usually finishes mid-pack and usually no issues with anybody. He's not overly aggressive. Knows when and where to make a pass and when and where to get out of the way. He's currently 8th fastest. As we see, Colin Higgins now is back out on an out lap. He's still yet to set a time. Lewis Marshall's also yet to set a time, so his race debut, he's already had an internet connection problem. He's yet to set a time in qualifying. See, one of the Red Bulls there's very slow. That was a close call. Wonder if that'll affect Andrew's time. That may get a second look by the stewards at the end of the race. That was quite the close call. And Andrew Heff aborts that lap, unfortunately. Not sure if the... Oh, and Lewis Marshall, as we were just saying, hasn't set a time, has just come out of the box with the second fastest time of the day. Impressive. Oh, and he snap oversteers the Mercedes. And Lewis Marshall, looks like his car's a little glitchy. Oh, and that's either massive car control or internet lag. So we know he's had an internet connection problem already this round, and his car continues to look wildly out of control. I'm willing to bet that it's not, and that he's got some possible internet lag issues. The car looks to be dog tracking down the straightaway. So he will be interesting to watch. You can see the car is very glitchy around this track. There's a caution in Sector 1. And 3 minutes to go in the session. Colin Higgins is yet to set a time, but we'll run down to order real quick. Francis McGinn is the only driver to set a time in the 128s. You're looking at Lewis Marshall, who on his race debut currently has the second fastest time. Ben Ricchetti, third fastest. Van Gelder, fourth. Jesper, fifth. Your championship points leader, Killian Brady, sixth fastest. Sandro, seventh. Gamer Freak, eighth. Andrew Heff has put up the 9 fastest time. Easton Reese, 21:04. Oh, and Praga has retired from the session again. So, looks like his internet connection issues continue. That's a shame since he had the second fastest time. Take a look back here at Colin Higgins real quick. He's out on track. Higgins is yet to put up a time. He's going to try and go on a fast lap. 2 minutes to go. And Francis McGinn sets a new fastest lap. He was running 1:28.8. Now puts up a 1:27.7. We've got cautions in Sector 1 and Sector 3. And looks like McGinn has called it quits. Not sure if he's got an internet problem or if he feels like he's put a good enough time to leave the session. You see there, Sander. We haven't talked much about Sander. It looks like he's left the session as well. Looks like we've got a question here from Sam Van Elven, who is not racing today, wants to know what my opinion is about the Halo in Formula One, and I can rest assure you that I am not a fan of the Halo at all, Sam. I'm not sure what anybody else's opinions are. Just a quick note, Killian Brady jumps to the top of the charts, 1:28.5, fastest time of the day, no surprise there. To answer your question, Sam, not a fan of the Halo. I think there needs to be more research done into something. Sandro has now retired from the session. It is a shame what has happened to some drivers in the past due to head contact. The past few years, we recently lost Justin Wilson in the Verizon IndyCar Series due to head contact with nose cone off of Sage Karam's car at Pocono. Henry Surtees, unfortunately, we lost him. He was a Formula 2 driver, I believe. He had head contact with the loose wheel that had come off of another car. And obviously Felipe Massa's near-fatal crash years ago when a broken spring fell off the back of the Braun GP Racing car of Rubens Barrichello. But I do not think that the Halo is the answer to those questions. I do absolutely believe there's got to be some sort of visibility issues. My other concern is that how would the Halo affect a driver from getting out of a car that has been put on its side or its roof? And obviously, one of my biggest fears, if I was ever a driver, would be fire. I know these cars are incredibly safe these days, but if a fire ever broke out, how is that going to impede the driver from getting out of the car? So I think more research needs to be done on the Halo. I think the FIA is taking a very quick and rash step towards safety. So that's my take on that. If anybody else has any opinions, feel free to put it in the live stream chat. IndyCar is testing a version of the Aero screen later this year before they make their return in March. They're supposed to test their version of an Aero screen in February, so we'll see how that goes. There's also been talk of using a semi-half roll cage, which you only see really on top fuel dragsters. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. But here's going to be your starting grid. Killian Brady to the top. Francis McGinn second. It's going to be a McLaren 1-2. Lewis Marshall, who set the third fastest time, is having some internet issues, so we'll see how that plays out with him in the race. Ben Ricchetti fourth. Van Gelder fifth. Jesper sixth. Gamer Freak, that is Rene van der Stoep in the other Mercedes. Cameron Weston Edwards, who showed a lot of speed the last couple races, is going to be starting eighth. Higgins did put up a time towards the end, 13th fastest. So we're going to get ready to go here. For round 10 at Bahrain. And we do have a request for tire graphics. I usually don't display those, but I will try to accommodate as we get ready for race start. So a 1-2 start position for the McLarens. This will definitely help Brady solidify his lead in the championship points, but more importantly, will help Francis McGinn close the gap to Bart Cadelda from second to third. So here they go on their outlap. Now, Catalda has a 38-point lead over Francis McGinn for second place. So McGinn will definitely be able to close that gap today. And your tire graphics, as you can see, everybody's going to be starting on the super softs except Easton Reese. Going to be starting on the softs. So possibly a different little type of tire strategy there. Maybe go long on the first stint. Possibly a 2-stop strategy versus a 3-stop. So that'll be interesting to see. Take a look at Killian Brady. Francis McGinn behind him. Take a look at Lewis Marshall. Seems to have regained some sort of control of his car. But yes, he is displaying a lot of lag. So I'm not sure how that'll play into the race. He is very glitchy and all over the place. Take a look at Ben Ricchetti, fourth. He's, I believe, the Season 1 champion. Van Gelder. See if he'll be as entertaining this race as he was last race. We didn't talk much about Dion Stahl, but he had a pretty solid run last race. Through all the DNFs, Stahl was able to finish top 10 with no issues, pick up some valuable points there. So last race we had a monumental amount of DNFs. Jan Holm, Colin Higgins, Rene van der Stoep, Francis McGinn, Sam Elvin, Ben Ricchetti, Ethan Croft, Yannick Verpet, and Jesper Lempinen all had DNFs last race. Take a look at the grid as they start to get back to their starting positions. So this is going to be round 10. Take a look at Ben Ricchetti. Grid reset. What am I looking at here? There we go. Lights are out. Time to run with you, Braun, as they make the run down into turn 1. You see Lewis Marshall there making a dive to the inside. Remember, he's been very glitchy, and as you can watch, all kinds of motion from that car. Oh, we got somebody off in sector 1. It looked like one of the Williams that went off. Oh no, Killian Brady says retired from session. What has happened to him? Broken right rear suspension for Brady. And I'm wondering if that had anything to do with Lewis Marshall's glitching vehicle. Unbelievable. It will not affect him in the championship point standings, as he's got a 70-point lead over Barcatelli, who's not even racing today, but done for this race. You can see Lewis Marshall running second, but his car has been glitching all over the place, and I'm willing to bet that that had something to do with Brady's retirement. Jesper's moved up to third now in the Haas. He's followed quickly behind Ben Ricchetti as we got a caution in sector 2. See Sander dropping through the... Oh, and Easton Reese is now dropping as well. He's down to 10th. Looks like Sander has had an off. He's got damage to the left front wing. Joey F. looks like he's having some internet issues. Lost connection, car's gone ghost. Looks like he's going to rejoin here in a minute, trying to keep up with the action here on the opening lap. Francis McGinn sets the fastest first lap. Take a look back at Van Gelder, where we're going to pick up a running order. He's fifth. Cameron Weston Edwards has managed to work his way up to 6th, and Dion Stahl has jumped into the pits, along with Easton Reese. And there's a caution in sector 3 now as we take a look back at Vanderstappen, and he's battling with Sandro Julius. And Brady has left the session. He is going to be very unhappy about that result. Take a look. Yannick is in the pit. Dion Stahl, Easton Reese, Yannick, and Sander have all pitted, I'm assuming due to wing damage. And it looks like Joey FY has lost connection again as he just left the session. He regained. He's gone again. So a lot to try and keep up with here in the first couple of laps. Oh, and the Mercedes and the Sauber battling wheel to wheel. That's Vanderstappen and Cameron Weston Edwards. Edwards is known for his very aggressive defending as he tries to dive down to the inside of Vanderstappen, and they're banging wheels. Oh, and Edwards has been pushed off, and now there's a little archie-barchie going through the S's with Vanderstappen. Oh, and Vanderstappen goes around and into the wall! Big-time crash. Broken right front suspension. Done for the day. You saw them going back and forth there through the S's. That was only going to last but so long before somebody ended up where they shouldn't be. So we take a look back at Sandro. He's running 6th. Edwards had a lot of contact with Vanderstappen. I'm sure that's going to be under review after the race. Easton Reese in the other Sahara Force India has moved up to 12th after making his pit stop. So if we take a look now at the closest battle on track, that is going to be Ben Ricchetti trying to chase down Jesper in the Haas. So lots of action going on around the track. It's only lap 3 of 29. We've already got 2 cars out. Your championship points leader, Killian Brady, was taken out on lap 1. And then you just saw Rene Vanderstappen get pushed off and lose control of his car and broke the right front suspension. Dion Stahl's currently making a pit stop. He's all the way back in 15th. And I am getting confirmation now that Lewis Marshall, his internet lag is what ruined Killian Brady's race. So there will probably be some talk about that after all this. So unfortunate turn of events for Brady. That is Brady's first DNF of the year. Coming into this race, Brady has made every single race but 2. And he was batting 100%. Every race he had been in, he has finished on the podium. This is his first DNF. Very unfortunate. Take a look now at Joey FY. He is still done for the day. Lost internet connection, regained internet connection. He's now lost internet connection again. So him and Lewis Marshall need to talk to their service providers. So we'll take a quick run down the running order. Francis McGinn started second after Brady's retirement. He is now your leader. He is 1.8 seconds over Lewis Marshall, who we have, as you can tell, has internet issues. Very glitchy. He took out Killian Brady with his internet lag. Jesper Lepinen is currently running third, and he is pulling away from Ben Ricchetti. This was your closest battle a couple of laps ago. We'll take a quick look now at Sandro Julius. He's all over the back of Nick Van Gelder. This is the closest battle on track, and this is for 5th place. Van Gelder runs wide coming out of that corner. Sandro trying to get on the inside, drops the right side over the curb just a little bit. They almost make contact. Big lockup by Van Gelder going into that corner. You saw the right front lockup. So we ride along with Sandro down the front stretch. He's going to try and make a move on the inside of Van Gelder. Thinks about it, thinks twice, comes back in. Oh, but Van Gelder runs wide into turn 1. Almost opened the door for Sandro to get in there. Sandro all over the back ones, thinking about it, weaving back and forth. Big lockup again by Van Gelder. Sandro lost a little bit of time through that corner there. Tries to make it back up through the S's. Oh, and he's deep on the brakes, gives him a little love tap in the back. Sandro closes the gap up big time under braking, but Van Gelder seems to be able to get on the throttle a little bit sooner and pull away and open that gap back up just a little bit. Sandro is 4th in the championship points this season. He did miss the first race of the season due to not having a PS4. Managed to get his hands on one of them and has had a pretty solid run so far this year. You see he's still working all over the back of Van Gelder. And Francis McGinn just set another fastest lap. Vanderstap has now left the session after his wreck. Oh, and you see Sandro taking a look down the inside. Van Gelder running him down, trying to make it hard for him. Takes a defensive line. Sandro's going to go in. Van Gelder locks up the right front. Sandro looks like he's going to take the position. Oh, but he runs wide through the corner. Van Gelder goes back on the outside, takes it back. So they were both running hard down through corner 1. Sandro couldn't make it stick. So Francis McGinn, your leader, has now pulled out a 4-second lead over Lewis Marshall as we continue to watch this battle for 5th. You see Sandro, it closes up so much under the braking. He's a great late breaker. Goes in deep. Oh, and it gives Van Gelder another love tap, pushes Van Gelder wide. So that's going to be some wing damage for Sandro. And in the midst of all this, Andrew Heff has managed to close the gap up to this battle. You see right there, Van Gelder and Sandro. So we'll take a look back at Van Gelder now to see if he can close the gap back up to Sandro. Sandro gave Van Gelder there a little bump and run going into that corner. Nice little NASCAR move to take that position. We've got some guys heading into the pits now. Marshall, Jesper, and Benarichetti have all headed into the pits. We'll get some tire detail on that once they head back out. Pit stop delta here is about 22 to 23 seconds. But Francis McGinn and Sandro stay out on track, so your battle for fifth has now become a battle for second as you look at Van Gelder try and close the gap now down to Sandro. And you see Andrew Heff there just kind of creeping into the picture. You see a couple of guys now have changed their tire strategies up. Colin Higgins and Yannick in the back of the pack have switched over to mediums. They'll probably try and make a long stint and run those to the end. You see the guys that have just come in switched off from the super softs to the softs. You take a look now at this three-way battle for third place. This is about the highest Andrew Heff has run all year. As you take a look at Van Gelder lock up the left front there. We just got word that Joe F.Y. had been kicked from the session, has been unable to rejoin. His car is currently running 14th as an AI. Dion Stahl will surely be able to take over that position in the next few laps. And it looks like Sandro and Andrew Heff are going to dive into the pits. Van Gelder's going to stay out on track. Big lockup heading into that corner. Jan Holm is yet to make a stop, so he's worked his way up to third. Currently, Francis McGinn has a 13, almost 14-second lead over Van Gelder as we continue to watch him. And once some of these pit stop cycles, we're going to see where all these guys turn out. See Van Gelder get the power down, kicks that back end out. Oh, big lockup on the front, though. His tires have to look like stop signs at this point. So many lockups, it's got to look like an octagon going down the road. So after some of the pit stop cycle, it looks like your closest battle on track now is Easton Reese in the Sahara Force India as he tries to catch Andrew Heff, who pitted a lap ago. He's fallen back to 8th. You see Sandro sneaking into that picture there. He's currently running 10th. A big lock up there by Reese. Van Gelder has now just headed into the pits. Francis McGinn still out on track in the super softs. You see Lewis Marshall has now set the fastest lap at a 1:32.3. He is now up to second. And you may want to watch this battle here. It's not really a battle yet, but again, pit stop delta at this track is about 22-23 seconds. McGinn has a 24-second lead over Marshall, so it would be very close if McGinn pitted this lap, if he would be able to come back out in front of Marshall. Marshall's out on the softs, and his car continues to look a little better than it did at the beginning of this race, but it's still a little glitchy. And there's going to be a lot of talk about that, I'm sure, at the end of this race on how his car affected Killian Brady's race. You see Benarichetti there in the background. He's almost 3 seconds behind. Jesper Lempinen is currently running 4th in the Haas. He showed a lot of speed this year. He's out on the softs. Cameron Weston Edwards, he's had a lot of good runs here the past couple races. He's got the super softs on. Not sure, I don't think he's been in yet, has he? He has made a pit stop. He's back out on the super softs. So he's possibly running a 3-stop strategy. See Andrew Heff starting to creep up on there, but you've got this 3-way battle starting to build between Andrew Heff, Easton Reese, and Sandro. This is 6th, 7th, and 8th here. Sandro creeping into the picture. He's got the slot open, so he's in DRS range compared to Reese this time. Oh, and he dives down to the inside. Thought about it. Reese closes the door. Oh, and one of the Williams goes around. That was Andrew Heff. He spun the car. And now he's got Jan Holm all over the back of him. Oh, and he runs wide. We've got a problem in sector 2 and 3. That's possibly Heff. As he ran wide, he gave plenty of room for Holm to make the pass. So Heff needs to regroup here and regain his composure. So we take a look back here at Sandro now, running 7th. He's all over the back of Reese now. So a 3-way battle quickly became a 2-way battle. DRS slot open, hard on the brakes. We've got softs versus super softs. As Julius continues, this is where Sandro makes up a lot of time. He's really good through that brake section, diving down into that corner. Now he's going to try and run wide. Oh my goodness! Reese tries to close the door. Sandro's going to go around the outside. That bang wheels. Reese pushes him wide. Sandro's set up for the next corner. Reese is going to think twice and head into the pits. So Reese makes a last-minute dive bomb into the pits. And you see Van Gelder starting to creep back into the picture. So the battle for 6th is going to be between Sandro and Van Gelder here in the next few laps, it looks like. See a battle going on in the back there. Andrew Heff all over the back of Jan Holm. So Heff, who was running 6th a couple laps ago, spun the car. Trying to get some positions back. Holm looking to make a good solid run today. Like I said, he's through 9 rounds this year. He has 6 DNFs. So he's looking to just put some points on the board. Heff's car is, it says he's on the mediums. The tire itself is swapping between yellow and white stripes, but Heff is out on the medium compound tire. You see Francis McGinn sets another fastest lap. Oh, and he slides it just a little bit there. Car pushed wide, dropped the right side on the curb. We're going to take a look up at Francis McGinn, who had set the fastest lap. Looks like he did finally pit, and Lewis Marshall did come out in front. So Marshall is king of glitch right now. We'll see how this battle plays out. This is for the lead here. We've talked a lot about Lewis Marshall's internet connection problems. The car's very glitchy. He lost connection in qualifying, managed to regain connection, set a good time, and then the start of the race, because of his glitching, essentially took out Killian Brady on the first lap. So we'll see how that plays into McGinn's pursuit. So it looks like McGinn pitted while we were watching the battle with Sandro and Easton Reese. And like I said, it was going to be very close with McGinn heading into the pits, with the pit stop delta being about 23 seconds. So McGinn now has the slot open, going to dive down to the inside of Marshall. Battle for the lead. Oh, and Marshall's going to try a crossover move. McGinn's going to be able to hold him off, though. Now can McGinn start to pull away? Marshall all over the back of him. And it looks like McGinn's on the medium compound tires. He'll try and make a run at this to the end as we work lap 13 of 29. Owen Marshall runs wide coming out of that corner. Oh, and he's off! He spun the car, and oh, good thing they went AI. Good thing he went AI for a second. Riccietti's going to take over the second place. That could have been disastrous. So Riccieti takes over the second place. Good thing the car went ghost for a second. Otherwise, Marshall would have been T-boned, and that would have ended both gamers' day on the track. So through that series of events, McGinn is your new leader. He's got a 4-second lead over Riccieti. 4.5 seconds behind him is Lewis Marshall. We watch Cameron Weston Edwards is now battling with Van Gelder wheel to wheel. Oh, and they touch. Remember the last time Edwards went wheel to wheel with somebody? It was Vanderstappen, and he got put into the wall. Looks like Van Gelder's made that pass. Take a look here and see if Edwards can close that gap back up a little bit. But Van Gelder looks like he's in hot pursuit of Sandro. He seems to have been chasing Sandro all day. Edwards is going to dive into the pits. So currently, closest battle on track is going to be between Andrew Heff and Jan Holm. Heff is just outside of DRS range of Jan Holm to Sauber. Jesper Lempinen is trying to close the gap to Lewis Marshall for third. He's about 2 seconds off that time right now. See, Andrew Heff's tires are still trying to make up their mind if they want to be soft or medium, but he is, according to the tire detail, on medium compound tires. And you see, looks like that's going to be Joe FY200 in the AI Sahara Force India. He lost internet connection and has been unable to reestablish it. We continue to watch Andrew Heff here try and close that gap down to Holm just little by little. He's so close to being in DRS range. Runs a little wide coming out of that corner. But he does pick up a 1/10 of a second, so that does put him within DRS range. Hard on the brakes, so you see the rotors glowing there. Now come out onto the stretch. Slot is open, so that's definitely going to give him a little bit of an advantage. I don't think he's close enough to make a move. But if he can stick this close to home until the next DRS range, he might be able to make a move on him. Gap is now down to about half a second. Only 2 cars out, both of them involved in unfortunate accidents. Killian Brady taken out on lap 1 by Lewis Marshall due to some internet glitching, and then Rene Vanderstappen had a little bit of a back and forth with Cameron Weston Edwards around lap 6. He got put into the wall. Nothing's changed at the top of the order. Francis McGinn is still your leader. He's got a 6-second lead over Alexito Riccieti. You see now Andrew Heff is in the DRS range. Slots open. Closing that gap. He's going to look to the inside, thinks twice about it. Thought better of it then. Lewis Marshall just jumped into the pits as I said his name. That's going to give Jesper third place. And we're going to take a quick look at Sandro. He should be able, he's going to be going past Marshall now. So he'll take over the 4th position. Van Gelder will take over 5th. Marshall is coming out of the pits as we speak. And here comes Holm and Heff. Hef this time is going to look to the inside. Oh! Thought about it, went to cut back in line. Had to go a little touch outside just to make sure he didn't take out his front wing. So Holm isn't exactly taking any defensive lines over Hef. He's just running some really solid lap times and making Hef take the long way around on some of these corners. But for the most part, Holm has not made his car very wide. He's sticking to that racing line pretty well. Hef just hasn't been able to get the power down to get out of the corner fast enough. Yannick Verpetten has now jumped into the pits. He'll give up a position to Colin Higgins. You see now Hef again with the slot open. Not going to be able to make the move here. Holm gets a good run out of that corner. Opens up the gap just a little bit. Looks like Benarichetti and Jesper have both dived into the pits. It's going to move Sandro up to second and Gelder into third. So we continue to watch this interesting battle for 7th place. Closest battle on track currently. You see again, Hef is going to open up the slot and he's going to try and make a run at it. Moves to the inside. This time he's going to try and make the move. Oh, Holm makes the outside work as Hef tried to take the inside line away from him. So real interesting battle here for a couple of these mid-pack guys. Holm had a really good run earlier in the year, I believe. Might have been back in Spain, where he put up a good finish of 6th place. I believe that was actually China, where Holm had a really good run to 6th. Continue to watch this. Andrew Hef just has not been able to find a way around him as they run through the S's. And this looks like Lewis Marshall is currently closing the gap to Alexino Benarichetti. That is going to be for the 4th position. Sandro's managed to work his way up to 6th, and it looks like these two are both going to head into the pits. We'll hop on with Andrew Hef real quick. See Edwards and Reese go by. Looks like Reese is out on mediums as well as Cameron West and Edwards. So now your battle for 7th is these two. And now this has become your closest battle on track. Continuing to monitor Lewis Marshall. He's got the gap down to Benarichetti to 1.2. This is going to be your battle for 4th position here. Taking a look here at Marshall's car. Looks a little bit more stable than it did earlier in this race. But obviously we've talked about his internet connection issues that he's had. And Benarichetti just set the fastest time in his Red Bull, 1:32.039, trying to pull that gap out on Lewis Marshall, but Marshall's still there. He's only 1.3. Oh, the power slide's coming out of the corner. Benarichetti trying to pull the gap, and Marshall's... Oh, we got a car off in Sector 2. That could be... well, that might be Dion Stahl. Or was it Sandro? Oh, we've got Van Gelder. Looks like he had a quick off. We've got a whole gaggle of cars here now. Looks like that might have been Sandro. And Sander and the other Williams dives into the pits. So Van Gelder has now closed the gap to Marshall, who has closed the gap to Benarichetti. And it definitely was Sandro that had gone off. Sandro was running second, has now dropped back to sixth. So now you've got a battle for third. That's essentially a three-way battle. You've got... Oh, and you see Marshall sets the fastest lap at a 1:32 flat. So you got Benarichetti running second. 1.2 seconds behind him is Marshall. 2 seconds behind him is Van Gelder. Right behind him is Jesper Lempinen. You continue to watch Lewis Marshall as he tries to close that gap down to Benarichetti. Benarichetti and Marshall have now swapped fastest lap times the past few laps. So as the fuel's burning off in these cars, they're getting a little quicker. And the battle between Reese and Edwards continues. These two just exchanged positions and then back again. Reese closes the gap a little bit there through the S's, gets a good run out of that corner. Puts the power down, power slides and kicks the back end out just a little bit. Looks like if we head back up, Jesper is all over the back now of Van Gelder. This is the battle for fourth as we try to keep up with this. He dives down to the inside, and Dion Stahl looks like he's got a crash in sector. Oh my goodness! Huge crash for Dion Stahl in sector 2 and 3, right at the exchange there. Benarichetti just set the fastest lap now at a 1:31.8 as we look and see Reese and Edwards go by. So Van Gelder just jumped into the pits. Jesper now takes over the fourth position. So we're going to head back to the battle between Reese and Edwards. And this is now the battle for seventh position. Not sure what happened to Dion Stahl. Looks like he had a big off. The whole right front suspension was collapsed. Take a look here between these two. Edwards is going to make Reese take the long way around. Big lock up there by Reese. You see Van Gelder just came out right behind these two, as these two are starting to make a little bit of contact. Van Gelder's going to be on newer tires, so he's going to be creeping up on this battle real quick. Oh, and Reese and Edwards are going back and forth. You see them touch there as they head through the S's. Oh, and another touch, and Edwards is going to go around. Oh no, and they've collected Vandergeld as well. So Edwards is continually getting hit. Oh no, there you go, around goes Reese. I'm sure Edwards had something to do with that. And Reese has left the session. I'm not sure if Reese left the session due to an internet connection, if that was the problem, or if he said, screw this, I don't want to be a part of that battle anymore. It'd be nice if I could get the camera off the back of the car. So through that, Van Gelder now takes over sixth. Edwards has wing damage. He'll have to probably make another pit stop. And in the last lap, we've now lost Dion Stahl due to a wreck. And we lost Easton Reese, has left the session. I'm sure there'll be talk there about whether or not... And there goes Edwards into the pits. So very interesting exchange of events here. We take a look up at Lewis Marshall. He's now closed the gap to Benarichetti down to 0.6 of a second. Marshall has definitely proven to be fast, and he's also proven to be faster than his internet, apparently. And the car is still quite glitchy. So we'll continue to watch this battle now as he's got the gap down to 0.3 of a second. You see some of the parts laying off there to the left-hand side. That's where Dion Stahl's car went off into the wall. And Marshall now going to try and make a run at Benarichetti. Not close enough there to try and make a move. And in the midst of this, the battle for 7th between Jan Holm and Andrew Heff still remains the same. Heff has been unable to get around Jan Holm. So we take a look here. Big lockup by Benarichetti. Marshall doesn't try to make a move there. Maintains that gap. You can see a Haas in the background there. That's Jesper Lempinen. He's starting to try and creep into this picture as these two battle it out. Marshall is all over the back of Benarichetti's Red Bull. You see Van Gelder now has set the fastest lap, 1:31.266 on Super Softs. So after that pit stop and coming out behind Easton Reese and Cameron Weston Edwards and getting caught up in that melee, he's managed to set the fastest time and get some of that time back. Colin Higgins has now gotten past Yannick Verpetten. That was for 10th. And the Haas seems to be closing in. Marshall's going to try and make a run at the outside as Benarichetti takes the more defensive line. Good defending by Benarichetti. Marshall's car is starting to look a little bit more stable through the internet as they come up on the ghost car of Easton Reese, or possibly Joe, FY. Both cars, both of Air Force Indias are done for the session. Marshall now is going to be very close striking range of Benarichetti as they head down into turn 1. Benarichetti takes the defensive line. Marshall's going to go the long way around, possibly try a crossover move. Can't quite make it work there. And Benarichetti is making his car very wide, very hard for Marshall to get around. Oh, Marshall's going to dive bomb him down into that corner. Oh, no! I can't tell if that actually happened or not because of Marshall's internet glitching, but it looks like Marshall just drove over the wheels of Benarichetti. So hard to tell what is actually happening and what's not with Marshall's internet connection. But it looks like Marshall drove over his left rear, drove over the right front of Benarichetti's car. Both cars still seem to be mechanically stable. And Benarichetti takes the defensive line again to keep Marshall behind him. Marshall's going to dive bomb him again, almost makes more contact. He is all over the back of the gearbox of the Red Bull. Francis McGinn has now made a pit stop, so it's going to be close between Benarichetti, Marshall, and McGinn. McGinn, pit stop delta is about 23 seconds. It'll be interesting to see if these two catch up to him on the front stretch. But battling side by side like this is going to cost them some time as they come around to the last corner here. And down the front stretch, and it looks like they are going to... Nope, McGinn maintains his position. Marshall now has to go the long way around this time. Power slides coming out of that corner. They make more contact. Marshall pushes Benarichetti wide. Oh, and they're banging wheels going down the stretch here. Oh, oh no, and there's more contact. So Marshall muscles his way through to the second place position. Benarichetti probably not happy with the way that went down, but Marshall's probably not happy with Benarichetti. So it looks like Marshall's able to pull out a gap a little bit now. Just half a second up in front of Benarichetti. And in the midst of all this, Jesper Lempinen is now caught up to this battle. He's less than 2 seconds behind. You see them go by there. So we watch Benarichetti now try to gain his position back. So a wild exchange there between Ricchetti and Lewis Marshall. The Marshall in his race debut has had a very eventful qualifying and race session. McGinn retains his lead as this race winds down. We'll take a quick run down the running order here. Francis McGinn, your leader in the McLaren Honda. His teammate Killian Brady crashed out on lap 1 due to Lewis Marshall with his internet connection problems. You see Van Gelder there sets another fastest lap. Ricchetti is running third and actually has closed the gap back down to Marshall. Looks like Ricchetti's maybe gained a little bit of his composure back. We'll see if we can make a run at second place here in the closing laps. Working lap 26 of 20 line. Jesper Leppinen is 2 seconds behind this battle in fourth. Sandro Julius in the Scuderia Ferrari in fifth. Nick Van Gelder in the factory Renault sixth. Andrew Heff has managed to get his way around Jan Holm for seventh. Holm in the Sauber will be eighth. His teammate Cameron Weston Edwards ninth after his exchange with who was he battling with? This was a mess today. Yannick Verpeten is 10th. Sander, we haven't talked a lot about today. He's in the other factory Williams. You can see it. Jesper there. Looks like he almost power slid his way off the track. And Francis McGinn has now just run the fastest lap at a 1:30.3. Sander again running 11th. We haven't talked a lot about him today. Colin Higgins 12th. Easton Reese is now dropped to 13th. That is who Cameron Weston Edwards was battling with a few laps ago. He lost connection or left the session. His car is still ghost, so he is done for the day. And that would be the same for the other Sahara Force India, Joe FY 200. Dion Stahl, Rene van der Staap, and Killian Brady have all crashed out. Your closest battle on track right now is still between Ricchetti and Lewis Marshall for the second place position. And I will say, looks like old Cameron Weston Edwards has left the session. So, not sure if that's an internet problem there or if he's decided to call it a day with only a couple of laps remaining. He's likely not to lose a position. He's probably very frustrated at this race. He's showed a lot of speed in the last couple of races, but this one has not gone his way at all. Take a look back at Ricchetti. So Ricchetti is losing time to Marshall, but maintaining a gap over Jesper, so Ricchetti now is falling 1.5 seconds behind Lewis Marshall. Edwards has rejoined the session. See if he can rejoin his car to finish out this race as we work lap 28 of 29. McGinn is your leader, third in the championship points, and he will definitely be able to close that gap down for second. As Bart Catalda is your second place in the championship point standings, but has not raced the past couple weeks. Unfortunate for him. So he's lost a lot of ground. We've got a caution in sector 3. Not sure who that might have been. So we take a look now at Yannick. He's closed the gap down to Cameron Weston Edwards. Looks like Edwards has regained control of his car. Just in time, too, because it looks like Yannick was closing in on him. Edwards able to rejoin to finish out this last couple laps here. So back at the top, it's Francis McGinn. We're used to seeing a McLaren in this position, but usually not McGinn. It's usually his teammate Killian Brady. Lewis Marshall on his race debut has been a very eventful day for him. He will come in second, it looks like. Better Ricchetti will be topping out the podium third. Jesper Lempinen in the Haas has shown a lot of speed so far in this year in the very few races that he's been in. He'll be fourth. Sandro, solid run to fifth. Van Gelder, the Drift King, sixth. Fast Scone, that's Andrew Heff. He fought hard for it, but he finally got seventh place. Jan Holm will finally finish a race. Nice to see him bring some points home. Cameron Weston Edwards in the other Sauber will be ninth. Yannick Verpetten in the other Haas will be 10th. Sander, Andrew Heff's teammate in the other Williams. Again, haven't talked a lot about him today, but he'll be finishing 11th. Colin Higgins. He's got a small fan base that likes to join in. He'll be finishing 12th. Easton Reese has gone ghost, lost connection a few laps ago, 13th. His teammate Joe F.Y. in the other Sahara Force India, 14th. Dion Stahl, Renee van der Stappen, and Killian Brady will be 15th through 17th as they have all crashed out. As we take a look here at your winner, Francis McGinn. So he will close his gap to Bart Cataldo for second place in the point standings. And if Bart doesn't come back soon, it's going to be a McLaren 1-2 in the point standings. So a very interesting race today. Lewis Marshall, a lot of talk about him, his race debut. His car definitely has some internet connection issues. His car was very glitchy. He lost connection in qualifying, regained connection. But because of his glitch, he did take out our championship points leader on the opening lap, Killian Brady. But a good solid run today, not for just most of these drivers, but for SRL in general. Again, 17 drivers joining today. That's the most in SRL history. That's twice this year SRL has grown its driver category. Earlier we had 15 racers. That was a new record. Last week we had 16. This week we had 17. Perhaps next week we can have 18 if Bart comes back. Excuse me. So there is your winner. And there is Francis McGinn, takes his step upon the podium. Lewis Marshall picking up second place in his race debut, and Better Ricchetti, another solid podium finish this year. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. This has been round 10 of the SRL League F1 2017 on the PS4 platform. And while there are many SRL leagues, there is only one Sandro Racing League. This has been round 10 at Bahrain. You can join us next time in a couple weeks at round 11 at Azerbaijan, which I can only imagine the melees that race will entail on the closed streets of Azerbaijan. I'm Kamikaze Fox. Go check out SRL on YouTube for more races and to catch up on some race review videos. I'm Kamikaze Fox. We'll see you next time.